Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight for the School Building Committee meeting regarding the 3 elementary school project. Today's agenda for October 21, 2020, we have a few items to review as far as meeting minutes, reviewing and approval of invoices, as well as the executive summary, and where we will also move over to some interior finishes update and open it up for any questions and comments from the public. At that time, I will ask that if anybody has a question to please use the raise hand function, and we will allow you opportunity to speak and where we can answer your questions as well. Otherwise, if you have nothing to report on at the moment, please make sure that your microphones are muted and unmute yourself when necessary. Thank you so much. And Mr. Chairman, your turn to call it in order.
Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting to order and remind everyone that the meeting is being recorded and broadcast on Watertown Cable Access Television. The meeting is available by Zoom. If you go to the town website, the links that are up on the screen are available. It's also available by phone, and there is an email available for those that would like to email. So I'd like to ask Mr. Ports to call the roll, please.
Vinnie Picciarelli.
Present.
Lindsay Mosca.
Here.
Edie Galston.
Here.
Heidi Perkins.
Here.
Lori Cable.
Here.
Steve Magoon.
Present.
Tom Tracy.
Present.
Leo Patterson.
Present.
Mark Sideris.
Present. John Ports.
Present.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is review and approval of minutes. Can I get a motion on the minutes of September 16th, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt the minutes of September 16th as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? John, can I get a roll call, please?
Yep. Lindsay Mosca.
Yes.
Edie Galston.
Yes.
Heidi Perkins.
Yes.
Lori Cable.
Yes.
Steve Magoon.
Yes.
Tom Tracy.
Yes.
Leo Patterson.
Yes.
Vinnie Picciarelli.
Yes.
Mark Sideris.
Yes, John Ports.
Yes.
The next item we have is a review and approval of invoices. I'm going to ask Mr. Tracy to go through them, please.
Yes, sir. Today we have an invoice for Break Builders for $6,898,446.78. Hill International for $93,910. We have 3 invoices for AI3, Basic, Extra, and Reimbursables. Those 3 invoices total $230,392.22. We have 2 months worth of bills for Colliers International, August and September. Those 2 invoices total $5,232.40. And then we have UTS for $7,305. The total for the of the invoices that I have is $7,235,286.40. That does look like it's a little bit off from what is listed on the agenda.
Okay.
Notice that.
Yes, I totaled it too. I came out to.
You, Vinnie, you had the same total as Tom Tracy?
I came up with the invoices you sent us was $7,235,286.40.
That's what I have too.
I see the one that's the AI. I have AI3 reimbursable. That invoice that you sent to us is $34,296.01. And
Vinnie, you broke up. Can you say that again, please?
the invoices you sent us with the agenda for the AI3 reimbursables, it showed September of 2020 amount due of $34,296.01.
And Mr. President, I concur with that.
Okay.
And
Apologies, there must have been a clerical error in making these slides or with our adding them up.
I think that 17,490 was one of the line items in the
Yes.
total invoice.
Okay.
So I think that was missing. So if we could change that reimbursable amount to $34,296.01, that means the motion to approve the invoices for would be, for tonight would be, which if you'd like me to make that motion, that we recommend that we approve the invoices totaling $7,235,286.40.
Second.
Tom, those are the same figures you have?
It is, and just so everybody will be comfortable, when we put these in for processing, there's another double check as well. Any difference, the accounts payable clerk would bring it to my attention. So there's no problem as far as approving the revised amount that Mr. Picciarelli and I mentioned.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Can I get a roll call, please, John?
Edie Galston,
Yes. Yes.
Heidi Perkins. Heidi,
Sorry, yes.
Lori Cable,
Yes.
Steve Magoon,
Yes.
Tom Tracy,
Yes,
Leo Patterson,
Yes.
Lindsay Mosca,
Yes.
Vinnie Picciarelli,
Yes.
Mark Sideris.
Yes, John Ports.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
next
And-
item is executive summary, and that's for you, Vivian.
Absolutely, can't wait, because as I sit here and have even shown the pictures on the executive summary, this feels like years ago. There has been constant movement on both of the projects, and I don't know if any of you have had a chance to drive by either one of these schools, that you'll see that these pictures already feel so old. I'll start kind of with the Cuniff. Framing and sheeting on the cemetery side has begun for the exterior, and we are prepping the slab on grade for in the gymnasium portion of the building. They've already started the roof work, and basically they're proceeding with the bottom, the top, and all of the sides of the building coming, closer and closer to becoming completed. Second and third floor, we do have temp lighting and power, and should be able to utilize those in the next week, as well as the detention slab has been poured, and they are then they will follow up with the precast for the detention to follow next week as well. The foundations for the solar panels along the east side is nearing completion, and they're backfilling now. And from there, they'll move on to the west side, which is the cemetery line, to begin there. The plan is to have the parking lot area binded by this fall, and in hopes that the building will be in essence closed up, or as we refer to it as tight, for the winter conditions by December, probably like a little bit before December, late fall timeframe. And no, I apologize. They'll have the building tight closer to the end of December timeframe. There are a couple of PCOs that pertain to Warren Street that are, as I've mentioned here, under scope changes. I am not bringing them forward just yet, but I do want to make this committee aware that there are 8 PCOs for Cuniff and 8 PCOs for Hosmer that are all still under review, both within our own team to review them, as well as Scott and his team, and a set of sub-consultants as well. I'll be moving on to Hosmer. We did have steel on site Monday, October 19th at Hosmer, so it was very exciting. And the steel erectors are working 10-hour days, Monday through Friday. They have not put in any request for Saturday work as of yet. But they're hoping to have, steel completed by the end of November. So we'll plan on having a topping off ceremony for the end of November. But as the time gets closer, I will make sure to keep everybody informed. They are currently, if you drive by Hosmer, it looks nothing like this. It has become a very tight site in a matter of overnight. We do have the steel, and if you have noticed, some of the portion of the steel has already been erected, and they're backfilling on the site. About 85 to 90%, I'd say, of the backfilling is complete for the footings and the foundations. And along the side of Brigham House for the underground detention is about 90% complete. And they are planning on paving around the Brigham House by Thanksgiving timeframe. French will do, in the next couple of weeks, they will be going extremely aggressive and full steam to get things done and leave the site before the end of December. That's their target. We are reminded that this coming Tuesday, school does resume, and we do have a hybrid scenario, but there will be students present, and we're working towards making sure that everyone is aware and maintaining safety protocols and everything for the safety of the kids returning back to school. Foundations should be close to being done by the end of this month, and we're looking on target for the November topping off. So again, as I mentioned, as we get closer, I'll bring it to everyone's attention and we'll plan accordingly and maybe have a little bit more of a ceremony than we did for Cunniff for the Hosmer topping off. Since we did groundbreaking at Cunniff, we'll do a little bit more for topping off ceremony at Hosmer. As far as invoices, everything has been entered. These PCOs have not been included as part of this financial summary since they're still under review and haven't been brought forth as a formal motion to approve.
Vivian, could you, for the audience at home and the audience that's here, just explain what a PCO is?
Sure. A PCO is a potential change order. I apologize. I'm throwing out jargon like everybody knows. Potential change order. So the contractor brings forth a few change orders potentially that they seek to get approval and to include as part of their billing. It is our role and responsibility to not only review all of these PCOs for legitimacy, as well as check against the contract documents to make sure that we're not being double charged on any of them, and making sure that they're not only legitimate, but the cost associated for them are appropriate as well. We had done so previously for change order 1 last month that became approved in the school building committee. And again, for every potential change order, we take the same course of action and review. And not only does Hill review as on behalf of the owner, but also AI3 does do a review as well. So there are many sets of eyes that look at every item that the contractor brings forth as having a potential cost associated with it before we bring it to this committee as a clear, yes, we've done our due diligence and it is a legitimate change order to be paid.
Thank you for that.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the reminder. Is there any other questions in regards to the information presented tonight?
I don't see any hands at this point.
I do not see any hands. I also do not see any chats either. So if it pleases, I'm going to move to the next slide,
Sure.
where I will invite Scott to give us a little design update on the interior finishes. I know it seems so far away, but as soon as the building is tight, you guys see the action right now and everything's going so fast. But once the building gets tight, all the work happens inside. And that's where I think the fun begins.
My commentary is brief. We, at this point in time, we're very close to having all of the submittals from the general contractor that are required for us to make some actual selections. We need to know who the manufacturers are that the contractor has selected, and we're very close to knowing all those, and we're compiling actual physical finish boards that include various interior elevations of the building in color, and then actual samples of paint, carpet, tile, plastic laminate, wall finishes, all of the finished products that go into the building, where we'll have small size actual samples of those. And traditionally, we would bring these finished boards with all these materials and interior elevations attached to them before the building committee to look at during a live meeting. But as a result of the Zoom meetings, we're going to have to do this a little bit differently. We're going to prepare those finish boards, those physical actual finish boards with the actual samples on them, and we're going to leave them at the Hosmer OPM trailer, project management trailer, on November 5th. And so starting on November 5th, and there's another building committee meeting, there's a high school meeting on the 4th, and we'll just remind you once again at that meeting. But on the 5th, we're going to drop those off at the Hosmer Owners Project Management trailer for any of the building committee members who want to see the actual samples in person to go take a look at those. And then at our November elementary school building committee meeting, we'll be showing those virtually, electronically on the screen, but we highly encourage everybody to go take a look at them prior to that November elementary school meeting. So we'll bring this up again at the November 4th high school meeting, just as a quick reminder. But be prepared to try to work that into your schedule if you want to see the actual physical samples. And then during the building committee meeting, the third Wednesday of November, we'll be presenting those electronically. We're on a little bit of a tight timeline because we get all these samples and then the contractor immediately wants approvals and color selections, et cetera. But we'll be going through them with the building committee. Hopefully we can get those presented, approved, and evaluated during the month of November. And that's all.
And the owner's project management, the Hill trailer is the second one once you enter the site. And please come on by and let us know that you're there and want to take a look at the selections. Just use caution when entering because there is a lot of activity happening on the site at the moment from now till the end of December timeframe.
Questions at this point? Any panelist? Any member of the public? Pat has a question.
Yes, Pat, please speak. Unmute yourself.
Are those samples, can the public go see them too?
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Just please use caution when entering the site.
Got it.
Thank you. Lindsay, you have your hand up.
Yes, sorry. And I was trying to find my participant list to use the button. It took me a few seconds. My question is, in regards to interior finishes and whatnot, I'm excited to see it. And I'm just curious how much input on like the color schemes and the concepts and ideas the building principals and administration has had ahead of time. I feel like they may be more expert than me than what will work well in that regard to the building. And I'm just kind of curious who else has kind of had their hands on these samples in terms of what the choices are and what we're looking at.
Sure, it's a good question. We don't even have the boards prepared yet, so we haven't shared them with anybody. Our hope would be that as we make these public, that certainly the, the school administration will have a chance also to take a look at those. And then we'll be collecting input from, all interested parties, not just the building committee.
Thank you.
Let me see, Stacy or Steve Magoon, I apologize. You have your hand up.
It's all right, no problem. Yeah, Scott, I had one quick question. I'm sure you've thought about this, but I thought it might be helpful for a little bit of conversation in terms of, the interior finishes and the durability of those. We've kind of moved away from cinder block hallways to, more other materials are a little more attractive, but could you talk a little about, life cycle costs and types of materials?
Sure. Sure. I mean, with the floor finishes we've selected, with the wall wainscoting we've selected, with all of the finishes, we've tried to choose. Fortunately, the manufacturers have come a long way and allow us to select materials that aren't cinder block anymore or concrete block anymore. And things that we put down low within reach of the students are highly durable laminates. The manufacturers that used to prepare laminate panels for areas like kitchen walls and bathroom walls now produce a much higher level of aesthetic panel that we can utilize for low areas where they may potentially be abused in a lot of different colors and textures and finishes. So they've come a long way, and we're certainly the materials that we've selected and proposed are all, particularly if they're in range of the students, are in a high traffic area, are all intended to be 40 to 50 year products, just like all of the building systems and components.
Thank you. Erin, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I was just curious about the degree to which we're striving for individuality between the two buildings on the inside, or the three of them, and the degree to which we're striving for consistency.
It's a good question. We the design teams feel strongly that although the materials should be similar between the two buildings in terms of quality, manufacture, et cetera, we feel strongly, and I'm not just speaking for myself when I say the design team, I'm talking about all of our architects and designers involved in the CUNF and the Hosmer, feel strongly that they should each have their own specific identity. So the schemes that are being prepared, although they're the same materials, they do vary in terms of the color schemes and the finish schemes between the two schools. The exteriors, as you may recall, although the buildings are very different in design, we did end up deciding to standardize on the exterior wood finish back when we were talking about the exterior finishes. There are some subtle differences in color for the glass and some other things on the exterior, but on the interior, you'll see a distinctly different, although there's some shared colors and finishes, a distinctly different proposed palette for the two different elementary schools.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lori, you have your hand up.
Yes, I know we're talking about finishes, but I can't remember if we talked about fixtures yet. So Scott, can you remind us, has that been decided, and are we doing touchless fixtures in bathrooms and classroom sinks?
We have specified all of those fixtures. The majority of them are touchless. We probably should take the time, though, considering the sensitivity of that issue. You and I, Laurie, should probably take the time to go through those when you're available, and we can just go through them fixture by fixture. No problem at all.
Any other questions? Chairman, I do not see any other hand raises
Okay,
from the panelists.
okay. I guess we can move on.
I'm worried about Tom. It got very dark in his office there for a moment.
It's all those automatic lights.
You were sitting too still for too long. At this time, the only agenda item is questions and comments from either the panelists from the school building committee or the public. So I'll start with the panelists first, if anybody has any questions or comments. Lindsay, you have your hand up.
I always do. My question is actually kind of thinking about, I mean, I love hearing the updates about these two schools and everything, and I'm just kind of also thinking about the Lowell school, and we haven't really mentioned about the 3-school project in a long time, and I'm just kind of wondering what's in the wings or what's coming up next for that, you know, partially as a reminder to folks in town that we are doing all 3 schools, and I'm just kind of wondering what are our next steps with that part of our project. That might be something we have to talk about another time. I mean, it's just sort of like
No.
I mean, I could certainly quickly respond to that. The you know, as per the building committee's request, we have continued to work, and actually the construction documents for the Lowell School are 100% complete, and we could go out to bid on that project at any point in time. At this point, you know, at this particular moment, we're actually waiting to see if the progress on the CUNF goes so quickly in terms of the construction that it may allow us to pull the trigger on the Lowell a little bit ahead of schedule. But currently, assuming that doesn't happen and we stay with the same schedule that we've talked about in the past, that schedule would include going out to bid on the Lowell at the end of 2021, having a contractor ready to mobilize on site at the Lowell in early 2022, and then starting in the summer of 2022, a lot of construction activity going on there, renovation to the existing building. It would not be occupied. Those students would be elsewhere during that 2022 to 2023 summer timeframe, and then it would be 100% complete in the summer of 2023. That's, again, I would repeat that schedule may get accelerated depending on availability of other swing space and an early completion of the new Cuniff Elementary School.
Thank you. We are actually tracking it a little bit both ways to see where the construction does lie, because kind of a contingency on that will be how quickly the new Cuniff is completed and the students can move in, so that we can further utilize the swing space. The Cuniff East becomes, you know, Lowell East as a result. So that the interaction between all of those, we are watching closely, and as it progresses, we'll be able to determine how quickly we can go out to bid for Lowell, and when we would. There's even scenarios that we are running that potentially we could do the additions while the school is being occupied, and as the students move back to the new Cuniff, the Lowell students move to St. Jude, then we can do a complete renovation while it's not occupied.
Thank you.
So we've got a couple of scenarios going, and we'll see which one works the best. I hope that answers your question, Lindsay.
It does. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Lori, you also have your hand up with a question.
I think at one time we said that January was when we were going to start talking FF&E. Is that still the timeline for that?
We've actually already started conversations about FF&Es, and we haven't.
Can you just tell everybody what FF&E is, please?
FF&E is the furniture, fixtures, and equipment
Thank you.
for the elementary schools, and we have started conversations and we will continue to progress on those. I know that Tom Finnegan recently has met with as well as AI3 with their consultant for furniture, fixtures, and equipment with the superintendent.
We have a draft program for the furniture, the fixtures, and the equipment. And I would point out these fixtures are different than the fixtures that Lori mentioned earlier. The fixtures that Lori mentioned earlier were like a faucet or a hand dryer or a toilet. The fixtures that we're referring to would be like a classroom trash can or a flag holder in a classroom or things like that. And then certainly everybody understands what furniture is. When we refer to equipment, for example, custodial equipment like trash barrels, floor polishers, those would be equipment. So we'll have a draft program and we plan on starting to review it with the staff and administration in November. So we've made a lot of progress. We've got all of the samples for student desk and some of the teacher's desk and some of the student chairs in our office right now. We've been going over those for the last couple of months. And our goal is to start to meet with the principals and the administration and talk about what we've pulled together sometime in November.
Any other questions?
There's one in the chat.
Yes. There is a question from the attendees. I'll read this out loud. Are materials being evaluated in terms of off-gassing and health information? I'm not sure of the terminology here. What precautions will be taken for placement of any antennas and Wi-Fi at the schools?
That's, I'll assume that's two different questions. Certainly for all of the material selection, not just the materials that go into the physical construction of the building, but even the materials that go into the furniture, the fabrics, the finishes that we're talking about, all get evaluated, and there's a really high standard. And as a reminder, this project is targeting LEED Gold, so that puts an even higher standard on all those things. So they all are being evaluated.
In terms of the Wi-Fi?
The Wi-Fi, I'm not sure exactly what the question is. Certainly we've got wireless access points throughout the building, but there's no danger associated with those. I know that police and fire will be installing a variety of different systems, radio systems in the buildings. They're very cautious and have a consultant that takes all the necessary precautions associated with those. But there's nothing that we would be introducing into the building that would be hazardous in any way to the occupants.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any other hands or any other questions at this point.
Yeah, I don't see any hand raises from the panelists, and from the attendees, I don't see any hand raises or any other chats, questions coming in. Vinny, you have a question?
Yeah, it's more of just sort of the next meetings. I see the two November school building committee meetings are on the calendar, but I was wondering about December because there's a lot of other meetings that we're trying to schedule before the end of the year. So are we still going to do the first and third Wednesdays?
Right now, that's the plan.
Okay. Could maybe you get Marilyn or somebody just put them on just so other people don't, because what's happening is you're trying to schedule committee meetings. People don't see them as, I mean, we know because we know, but everybody else doesn't.
Okay.
Dee Dee, you have your hand up.
I'm so excited about the work that we're doing and moving forward, and definitely seeing the Hosmer is incredibly impressive. I just wanted to, for the people that are listening out there, I think that when you referred to the fact that school's starting on Tuesday, that's still something that we are deciding. But
Okay.
that part of the original plan was that we'd be moving to hybrid on the 27th. I just want to make sure that people know out there that that is still something that we're considering, and we would make that decision tomorrow.
Okay, thank you for that. I was going based off of just general that students are going to be in the vicinity. Please make sure to use extra caution, as you know, it's a completely different atmosphere when there's no students around, and then when there are students around, especially elementary age students.
And I'm also going to suggest to you and Tom in particular, who's more of the day-to-day, we need to make sure that all the contractors are aware of what's going on, because the kids are starting to come in. I think that's very critical. And also be aware that, you know, we want to make sure that the neighbors don't get interrupted because of a contractor or something like that. Again, the safety of the utmost importance here is the safety of the children going in and out of the site.
Absolutely. And I promise you that is a constant daily conversation piece with everybody on site, as well as I was there on site this morning, and there was a police detail on Boylston making sure that everyone is adhering to the stop sign and all the rules and regulations there. We have been communicating with the abutters in the Hosmer as well as the Cunniff neighborhood, and have connected with the council members in those vicinities, sending out weekly updates to whomever they have on their list of followers, as well as to ours, and updating our website as well. So
Thank
we're
you.
definitely doing our very best, and will continue to do so, and stress the importance of safety for everybody.
Yes, appreciate that.
Absolutely.
If
Any
there's-
other, I don't see any other hand raises.
Okay. That's it.
That's all we have for tonight, sir.
Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Can I
I'm
get a
sorry, I
roll?
didn't catch who seconded.
Tom Tracy?
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Can I get a roll call, please, John?
Heidi Perkins,
Yes.
Lori Cable,
Yes.
Steve Magoon,
Yes.
Tom Tracy,
Yes.
Leo Patterson,
Yes.
Dee Dee Galston,
Yes.
Lindsay Mosca,
Yes.
Vinnie Picciarelli,
Yes.
Mark Sideris.
Yes, John Ports.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Thanks.